the blood of our people are your lands kept safe.
I see in your eyes the same fear that will take the heart of me.
So do all who live to see such times.
By all that you hold dear, this good earth.
There's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting.
Welcome back, everyone. As I said before, we are going to be doing a few things different from Lord of the Rings, and right now we've got the next and final installment of Indiana Jones coming out. So we came across this list of the best and worst Indiana Jones imitators. Indiana Jones himself is an imitator from other B movies of that era, but let's see what we think of these ones. Now, I think I've seen all of these, so we're gonna go through these, and I have seen them all. But I want to say this, and this is something you and I talk about quite a bit, is that timing is everything when it comes to when you see these movies. So sometimes a film that impacts you as a kid, it's gonna be you're gonna have that nostalgia to it, and you might not be able to critically evaluate it the same way you watch a similar movie, but when you're an adult. And so, you know what I mean? And so it's going to be difficult to parse through that. But
some of these I can't imagine having nostalgia for.
Well, exactly my point. So that's why we're gonna try to parse through that. But I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm aware of a potential nostalgia bias when it comes to this. But anyway, let's start. Let's get into this. So they start off with the worst. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
I never saw it. Well, maybe I saw a little bit of it, but I didn't. Not really. No.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what happened.
So yeah. So the thing with Prince of Persia, I honestly I wouldn't have even considered this to be an Indiana Jones imitation, just because the story doesn't have that same just simple plot of a character is searching for some item and they're going on this quest. Prince of Persia is supposed to have a bit more to it, a bit more relationship-y kind of stuff as well, interwoven. And also the fact that it's not dealing with someone like coming from like modern day necessarily and diving into ancient culture and like, going through like a booby trapped room or whatever. Although there are booby traps, but it's all kind of within present day. So that Prince of Persia, to me, I don't even think it should be on here. It's not a great film, though. The game, the Sands of Time, Prince of Persia, is great. The other ones are lesser so, but the game is fantastic if you ever have a chance to play it. But this movie is a mess. It doesn't even make much sense, and the CGI it didn't even hold up that well in the day.
It's from the 2000s, or
yeah.
Okay.
So it was I should say it's from the 2010s, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't like Lord of the Rings timeline. It was 10 years later, and it didn't look as good as something like Lord of the Rings. So yeah. Yeah, it just really didn't. So the story, the actual story of the game, there's a lot there, and they really didn't want to, I guess, get into all that, and they kind of just tried to make it a simple fetch quest movie, and it just doesn't work because the power itself is basically the only gimmick you have, and that's the movie, of being able to kind of rewind time a bit. So yeah, let's go next. So that's the worst, they say.
This is specifically the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say what, the Mummy, but then 2017 Tom Cruise Mummy. Okay, you know what? I haven't seen the Tom Cruise Mummy. I didn't think that'd be on this list because I figured we would just be talking about the OG Mummy and not these other ones.
Okay, well, skip it.
Yeah, I mean,
can't comment.
Yeah, I can't comment on this one.
Tomb Raider, Alicia Vikander. So it's not the Angelina Jolie
right.
Tomb Raider.
And I So the problem is a lot of these movies that come out in the later teens and the 2020s, they are really trying to go big with some of their sets, and that's that was never really what you needed in a good Indiana Jones film. Not that they didn't have good sets, but like when you look back, some of the best moments in those Indiana Jones films, the sets are a much smaller scale compared to what we see nowadays. It's like, just for example, some of the big ones that come to mind from Indiana Jones is obviously the boulder, getting chased by the boulder. But one of the most intense ones is like him on that rope bridge, and he's threatening to like cut the bridge, and or he's gonna drop the rocks in the river and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That idea, it's so simple and it's just so easy to just find a bridge and film that scene. Whereas when you have movies like this, and we're gonna get to Uncharted as well, they're like jumping out of airplanes without parachutes, landing on like a cargo box, opening it up, putting a parachute on, like all this crazy stuff. And to me, it doesn't work unless Tom Cruise is doing it. The only time I like watching a set piece that big is if Tom Cruise is doing it, because he's actually doing it.
Okay.
I don't really care for it if it's going to be in Tomb Raider or Uncharted or The Mummy Returns or any of this kind of stuff. I would much rather see like a Mission Impossible moment like that versus it in something that's supposed to be a little bit more respectful of the civilizations that they're trying to either like get the artifacts from, or all this kind of stuff. Like it kind of takes away from that when they go to these massive set pieces. So that's what I'll say on this Tomb Raider one. It went too big, trying to be something that it really shouldn't have been.
Uncharted.
So speaking of going too big, this movie takes the cake. This movie is literally trying to fuse like Indiana Jones, Ocean's 11, like Mission Impossible, and Spider-Man. Like, yeah, the whole thing, it's just nonstop big set pieces. They're doing heists. They're jumping out of planes. Now, to be fair though, the Uncharted games, I've not played them all the way through. Have you played them? I know you.
I have not. I've only played a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't play them through.
Right. So I've played them a little bit, and they're fun, but I will say the games do have bigger set pieces than most. So Uncharted maybe should get a bit of leeway, but it just goes so over the top. It's almost a parody of action movies. It's just insane. So this is where, like, literally the freeze frame here is, I think, just before one of the scenes where they have to like jump out of a plane or something like that and catch up to a falling box and open it up and grab, like, it's just craziness.
Aren't they supposed to be archaeologists in this?
Well, the thing is, yes, but I think because of the way this movie got made, where they initially were going to have Mark Wahlberg be the main character, but then they didn't make the movie for like 10 years or whatever, and so he aged out, but they still wanted him in it. So now there's like two of them, and one's like, so yeah, I think he's supposed to be an archaeologist, or maybe he's like a grave digger, or like a grave robber or something. Like, he's not a good guy archaeologist. I don't know, but all I know is it didn't make any sense, and I don't know why they were heisting and stuff. I would have liked a much, like, I know people hate on Temple of Doom, but honestly, that's a fine movie. You don't need to, like, what I'm trying to show is you don't need like Nazis and ghosts and stuff. You can literally just do a kind of a close-knit movie like Temple of Doom, where it's all of this kind of sneaking around in this mysterious temple and trying to figure out what's, because, like, honestly, in that movie, it's an accident that Indy even ends up there. Right?
Yeah.
He's on a plane to somewhere else, and then the plane, the pilots have been hired to assassinate him, essentially. And so he is able to escape that plane crash, which I will say, huge set piece for the time, and I don't even know if it holds up now watching it. I'd have to rewatch that escape, because that's where, spoilers, that's where they use an inflatable raft.
Yeah, It looks fine. I mean, I saw it not too long ago.
Okay. Like, it's not that it wouldn't look fine, but is it believable that
Oh, it never was believable.
like, so they're falling from airplane altitude and they inflate a raft, and that raft allows them to gently glide down to land on
Well,
snow.
I think it's also that they end up landing on a slope, so it's
Oh,
not
I
just
see.
a thud. It's the energy goes into just
Right.
the thing continue to go down the hill.
Right. So it all kind of came together perfectly for them. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem with it, and I'm here. I am calling out some of this stuff, and like looking back, they did that in Temple of Doom, and yet I was okay with it, and so it's one of those things where, am I just thinking of Temple nostalgically, or is there a way in which they filmed it and made it work so that I'm able to, even though it seems impossible, I'm able to kind of accept it versus what I'm watching in this.
Actually, I don't mind stuff seeming impossible. I can suspend my disbelief.
But there is a limit, right? There is like a so here's an example of one that came out recently.
Okay, so I can think of an example that is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
But I still love it.
Okay.
Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye when he dies after the falling airplane and he catches up to it. It makes no sense. But
yeah,
it's
you're
still
gonna
awesome.
have to you're gonna pull out GoldenEye on that one. Yeah, that's a good one. That one is yeah, that one's crazy, and I agree. I love it. That intro is masterful. The whole thing, from the opening shot in the bathrooms, in the air ducts and into the bathroom, all the way through to the standoff to the airplane. That whole thing is masterful. And the game, despite trying to like be as true to it, doesn't do it as much justice. I think the movie really gets like it's a tight knit scene that really wants to like just have this intro happen and then get to the actual plot, but that whole thing is great. So I agree. I think you're right. That one, it's silly, but you let it go. But is there a limit? Like, so here's one that to me, now I don't like these movies anyway, but the Fast and the Furious series, in one of the in the most recent one, Fast X or whatever, the Vin Diesel character is able to like lift his cars now, like so his car like flips over or something like that, and he like
Oh, really?
or something like that. And like to me, that like at what point do you just go like they're now like superhumans? You know what I mean? So like with James Bond catching up, maybe you're questioning the physics, but it's not like he's like got laser vision or like he's doing something that is truly impossible for in any aspect of real life. So I guess there's something there, and it's hard to quite put our fingers on it, but there is like a reason why you love one over the top action scene and then you don't like a scene in Transformers, maybe just because there's just so much CGI just kind of crashing together on the screen that it's almost too much for your brain to like watch it and accept it type of thing. Anyway, let's go next and see what we got here. So now we're into
National Treasure. I don't know this specific one. I've seen some of the National Treasure movies though.
Is this number 2? I thought there was only 2.
Okay, maybe there's only 2, and maybe I have seen them. I still
Yeah.
recognize the woman in the picture here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Same. I thought there was only 2 National Treasures. Let me just quickly look that up. Cuz if there's more than 2, I've not seen them all. I thought I had seen them all.
it says that there was a Disney Plus spinoff.
Oh, National Treasure: Edge of History is a show. Same as that. By the way, same as that Tomb Raider thing. By the way, it's a show.
Oh, okay. I didn't see these.
So haven't seen this either.
But anyway, I like the National Treasure movies. So.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to those. I'm sure. Here we go. All right, next one is actual National Treasure, and I can't believe they put this on the so-so. Now, so here's the problem. I just ripped on Uncharted for being a heist movie combined with a archaeology action movie.
Oh yeah, this one they're heisting the
This one-
Declaration of Independence. Yeah, I remember
Same
that.
exact thing, but it's not on such a. I mean, it's on a grand scale, but it doesn't have grand set pieces. It's a lot more acting. It's a lot more. For me, it's a lot more believable in terms of how they go about it and the knowledge that these two might have about how the document is stored, how the vaults work, because of like they would have requested access to these documents prior and have understood the security backgrounds of it all. Whereas in Uncharted, they kind of seem to just be kind of run and gunning it with no real plan. So that's, I guess, a big comparison between the two, and that's why I prefer the National Treasure. At the same time, Nicolas Cage, I mean, I know some people hate Nicolas Cage. I personally love Nicolas Cage, and most of his films, even if the film itself, the plot isn't that great, Nicolas Cage always makes it good. This is his most tame film, I think. And I think he makes it work. I don't understand why this is a so-so. I would honestly rank this higher. I don't quite get it. And before people say it's all nostalgia, this came out in 2004. So it's not going to be like childhood nostalgia for us. If anything, you'd have to argue it's teenage nostalgia. But even then, we still had the 6 Star Wars films. We had the OG Indiana Jones films. We didn't need any more nostalgia. So me sitting here and like defending this film, it's not a nostalgia thing. It's more like I think it actually is a good film for the genre.
No, I've only seen this a couple of times. But
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, like I've only seen this a couple of times, and yet I thought it was a solid film. I just happened, because I grew up with Indiana Jones, I go back to that if I want it. But this is a great film for that type of genre. So all right, let's see what they got next for so this is weird. So they're gonna say so for National Treasure and good for Tomb Raider. Now, I personally think the Tomb Raider films are underlooked, so I'm glad they put the good on here. I think the Tomb Raider films are unfairly hated on for the main actress in them, potentially. Angelina Jolie, she hams it up a little bit, and obviously because at the time, so these came out in the early 2000s, at the time she was considered like a mega star and like a big like sex icon and all this stuff. There's that element to it that's happening, but I actually do think the plot itself of the films is a decent action adventure that I could see happening to Indiana Jones. So I do think it's a decent version of Indiana Jones that people unnecessarily hate on because of what was potentially the main character, the main actor, rather than the actual film itself.
Okay, Jungle Cruise. I didn't see this.
All right, I tried to watch this. I couldn't.
Dwayne Johnson and what's her name? Emily Blunt.
Yeah, I tried to watch this. I couldn't watch it. It's awful. I
But
cannot.
they're calling this good.
They're calling this good. This should have been bad. I mean, this film it's just a toy. Like it's just for making toy. Like there's nothing about
really.
this film that I would ever care to see again. Like there's nothing great. Like the acting is okay. Obviously you have these big set pieces.
Big actors.
Like it's just a nothing film. There's nothing there, and it's for kids to understand. It's for kids. So I just don't get it. I don't get what people are thinking on this one.
The Goonies.
Okay.
Best. Yeah,
All right.
Goonies is good. Classic.
Yeah.
But I have nostalgia. I have a strong nostalgia bias.
Yeah. So strong nostalgia bias in this one. But what I will say is, like, again, and maybe it's a product of its time, sure, but the simplicity of when they are doing a big set piece, like the pirate ship that's in the cave.
And it has Sean Astin.
And it has Sean Astin, so how can we fault this one? But like the way that it's filmed, it's a lot more tastefully done, and it allows the scenes to have a realism and believability that I just don't get from some of these late teen to early 2020 films, where the whole thing is CGI.
Here's the suspending disbelief thing, though.
Uh-oh.
Lining up the coin to know the location of the treasure. We're okay with it in the Goonies, but we're not okay with it in
Star Wars.
Skywalker.
In Star Wars. Oh man. Okay. Is there any clue that tells them where to stand for that coin?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But what I will say is there is zero clue for Rey to stand where she stood with the dagger. Correct?
Yeah.
So
whereas I guess maybe in the Goonies you're standing in the direction of a settlement. I guess, I don't know.
yeah, so I see what you're saying, and I agree that there's gonna be some similarities there. You're right. You know, maybe it is a nostalgia thing. Maybe it's because it was at the time. I mean, this movie is for kids as well, and so there's that nostalgia vibe to it. And so when it is truly made for kids, you are, as a kid, you kind of, that's how you view the how an action adventure might happen and unfold. You're going to have to puzzle things out, and that's one of the ways you'd puzzle it out. To me, Indiana Jones still has the best setup for needing an item in a specific spot and how to use it, because in that film, they're able, essentially, I mean, people have literally argued that Indy screws up because he misunderstands that the Nazis are going to find the chest, and so he goes and he's going to find it first, but they're digging in the wrong spot, and they have no idea how to set that staff up. And so
if he had just never gone, then they never would have found it.
Yeah, he knew they were looking. He knows they're looking for it, for the Ark, but they're digging in the wrong spot, and he's like, I gotta find it first. And yet it's very clear there's a very specific way to do this, and they could be digging for decades before they get to the right spot. If they're just gonna dig randomly, like, so there's an idea that Indy kind of screws it all up because it is so specific and it makes sense. It's outlined exactly what you have to do with this staff.
I think I'm like recognizing another flaw.
Okay,
I don't wanna stupid myself if I get called out here.
All right, we'll cut it if it's stupid.
But this is all set in Egypt, that Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
They film in Tunisia, but it's set in Egypt.
Yeah.
Did the Nazis ever control Egypt?
They did in my Axis and Allies board game set in 1942.
Maybe they did.
Yeah, so if the board game is to be believed, they did.
I mean, I know they were in North Africa, but my sense was that England had a hold on Egypt at that point the whole time, but maybe it didn't.
I wonder. I have to look that up. Actually, maybe people can tell us if I leave this in the comments below. Tell us
maybe I hope I didn't.
We're not a history channel. I mean, we're not claiming to be history experts. We are experts on the Lord of the Rings films, and we are now critiquing Indiana Jones, basically knockoffs. But I wouldn't. The Goonies are their own thing. They're not really copying Indiana Jones. But I digress. I see what you're saying. There might be.
It wasn't set. Okay, it wasn't. Just thinking, Indiana Jones wasn't set mid World War II. This is like 1930s, so it would have just been a German team.
Oh yeah, that's right. So it was just some other. It was just like a secret op of Nazis going there to try to find this magical ark to help them in their coming war, I guess. Like that's like
maybe they had all the permits.
It was all cleared. They paid off the people they needed to. All the red tape was cut for them. Okay, but back on this list, we got 5 more to go. What do we got next? We got Dora and the Lost City of Gold. I didn't see this. Who would watch this? She's not a kid.
I just saw some of the ads.
But it's for kids. It's based on Dora the Explorer. It's not. This doesn't count.
It's for kids, but did they make it? Did they grow it up a bit? Maybe for.
I don't know who's gonna see this. That's not a kid. Even if you did, say you get like a bunch of really talented writers, maybe Spielberg even like helps supervise, and they sit down and they craft this amazing Indiana Jones thing, and then they just have it be Dora. Who's gonna see that? Because you just assume it's for kids. Like like they claim that it feels like a young Indiana Jones adventure, but you can't call it Dora. You have to call it Young Indy or something. Like I would never see this. So so naming is important is what I've gathered from this. The name of the film will dictate if I see it. Because Jungle Cruise is one that I didn't want to see, then I tried to see it.
Maybe we should see it. Maybe it's an underrated gem, like they're saying.
Oh my god! I'm gonna have to see someone else do a review of this first. Like I'm gonna go watch a YouTube review of it and see if it actually is good. Because that can't be. I just can't see it being good. Like she talks to her backpack all the time.
and a map, and then there's a coyote, I think that.
Yes, Swiper.
Swiper.
Oh, he's like a fox or something. Yeah.
Oh, is it a fox?
I don't know. It's some sort of classically thought of as like mischievous animal, I guess. All right. Let's go next here.
I didn't see Moon Knight. This is a TV show.
So I didn't see this either. Yeah.
Oscar Isaac.
Yep, Oscar Isaac, but it was like a Marvel thing. I kind of marveled out, so I didn't really jump on this. So I have no idea what this is about. I don't even know if it's even close to being Indiana Jones. It seemed a little bit more sci-fi to me, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what this is.
Okay, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I did see this. This is like when they switch bodies.
That's right. So what do you think of this one?
I mean, I don't know how it's rated best. It was.
Yeah, I agree. Like it, the problem is the problem for me is instead of being the action adventure, a lot more of the film is the body switching thing. So it's more of like a comedy to me, which is not.
Like they went Freaky Friday on it.
Right. They definitely lean into that. Which I will say, to their credit, everyone, even The Rock, does a good job here, I thought. So it's not like I'm hating on all the actors here. I actually like most of them.
Oh, they're all good.
Yeah. To me, the story itself was kind of lame, but I did enjoy myself. So maybe that has to mean something. I did think it was fun while I was watching it. I thought it was dumb, but I thought it was fun. Whereas when I'm watching Indiana Jones, I think it's smart and fun, even if it's not smart. I think it is, and that makes me feel good. This movie did not make me.
I mean, I would
feel
say
like
is this the first time they went into Jumanji as a movie? Because remember Jumanji.
Yeah.
It's the stuff coming from the jungle into the real world.
That's right.
This is the one when they actually go into the jungle.
That's right.
So there was kind of like, it satisfied a curiosity. I saw this for a reason because I was like, oh, they're actually going into the board game instead of the board game coming out to us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
So yeah, you're right. Like they didn't just rip off the old Jumanji. They did make it their own. They made it different. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. So this one, I wouldn't say it's best. I would mark this one in the so-so category for me. So that's just my take on it. All right. The Mummy. 100%. This is not only a straight up Indiana Jones ripoff, it's great.
I mean, I'll meet a lot of people who say this is better than Indiana Jones.
There you go. There's people who say this is even better than Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know. they're both really good. You're right. What is one better than the other? This one has more comedy in it. I will give it that. But it still has great action. It has a dumb but smart hero. This one, and this one has a lot more input from the other female lead in this. Whereas Indiana Jones, he is kind of on his own most of the time. You know, I know they're trying to like bring more female characters into these more later Indiana Jones movies, but when you look
They
at
did do. I mean, I watched this not too long ago, and they did do the damsel in distress bit
yeah,
in this quite a bit,
yeah,
and it's really perfect actually, because she's like in a nightie,
Yep.
and she's like tied down.
Yep. But the thing is, you're right.
She's
So
it's perfect.
you're right. You're right. So they literally set it up like they're ripping it straight from like the classic trope of it. But the character herself is smart. She's not just dumb.
She's like a full-on Egyptologist.
Yeah, so she does have a role to play. It's actually her brother that's the idiot one of the group, which I think is great. Just the balance of that way you can have a dumb sidekick, but it's neither one of these two, because both of these two have important roles to play, and when you dumb one down, they're not gonna have that same ability to come in and save the day and make it and have it feel right. So they have a separate dumb they actually have a few dumb characters, which is great. And then they have these two, and there's some great classic lines. You're on the wrong side of the river. Like,
Yeah.
that's just great. And then like the screaming at the mummy, like the mummy does like this, like the mouth like opens wider than a mouth should open, and the mummy like has this like ungodly scream, and then Brendan Fraser just like yells in its face. Like, it's really funny. And so I think that, to me, you have to kind of, if you're in the mood for a bit more comedy, this one is maybe going to be better than Indiana Jones. I'm usually in the mood for a bit more of the action adventure, like mystery, like solving the mystery, and that's why the Indiana Jones for me are probably better. I would notch them better, but I will say it's close. This one's fantastic.
And that's all.
And that is it. Yeah, I guess there wasn't 15. It just was a fake out. So 14. Okay, so of those ones, I think The Mummy for sure is on the top. The Goonies is definitely up there. And then below that for me is going to be National Treasure and the OG Tomb Raider.
Yep.
Yeah.
No disagreement here.
And then yeah, you can throw a lot of those other ones to me, like so you can put, I guess not quite terrible is Jumanji. So it's like in this weird place, so it's not terrible, but it's not on the level for me as National Treasure or the OG Tomb Raider. But then all the rest, Jungle Cruise, Prince of Persia, all that's all garbage to me. I have a hard time watching them. Like, if I sit down to watch them, I'm gonna kind of just get bored and want to do something else, like halfway through. So that's the Indiana Jones knockoff movies, not knockoff movies. I guess like wannabes is how they've phrased it, but that's the list. Let us know down below what you guys think of the list. Where do you guys place these, and are you guys as affected by nostalgia as we are? Are we? I thought we did a pretty good job. I mean, Goonies maybe? Is Goonies the one?
The only one I have strong nostalgia for is probably the Goonies.
Yeah.
Because even The Mummy, I haven't watched it that many times.
No, it's just it's a solid film. I don't see myself as being attached to it nostalgically. The Goonies, I guess, is one that I would have a hard time evaluating it probably, in terms of like if I showed it to somebody who's never seen it and they hated it, I would be like, I don't get it, and they would say the same thing to me. It would be probably hard to bridge that divide.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.